All right, welcome to a special edition of the Empowerment Perspective Podcast. I go by the name of Demetrious Josie alongside
Stacey Sanderson Dick.
How are we doing today, Stacey?
We're good.
I'm excited about this. We're kind of extending the mindset podcast from before and really trying to work some things out and give the audience some pointers on how to get out of that negative thinking. So I'm really excited about this. How about you?
I'm very excited about this. I mean, sometimes you need that how-to.
Right. I want to thank all the people that are checking out our podcast and leaving us comments and questions. We will be getting to one of those questions in a minute, but we're just going to dive right into this one. Our purpose today is simply to give you some steps and some keys on how to get out of that negative thinking. So the first point for me is simply being yourself, and I kind of pride myself on not really caring what people think about me, but really in any moment, I am who I am and not trying to be somebody else. And I think people get caught into that negative thinking because they're trying to be somebody that they're not, and they're not reaching that expectation. So they're kind of losing. So what's your thoughts on being yourself?
I think it's really hard sometimes to be yourself, though, because you want to be something for someone that you maybe aren't. So you try to, in the beginning, fit yourself into this box that you don't really fit into. And I think it's harder to be fake. I think once you start acting a certain way, it's harder to keep that act up, and it becomes more stressful and more anxiety driven because what did I do last time? And so it is really important to be yourself and to give yourself to everybody, and people aren't going to like you, right. But it doesn't matter.
Yeah, we kind of touched on this before, but I guess as a mother and as a sister and as a friend, like, you play so many different roles, right? And you kind of lose yourself in trying to please the people that are closest to you. Do you find yourself kind of not being true to yourself at some times because you're trying to help the people that you care about around you?
I don't think I change who I am for friends and family. Maybe I take on a little too much that I'm not really ready to take on, but I don't think I change who I am. But certainly the first time you're around people, I think you try to read them a little bit and, try to fit into a situation that you normally wouldn't act like that. Like, go back to high school. How many times did you try to fit into a group and you did things that weren't true to who you are? But the end result was, if I didn't do these things, I wouldn't get to hang out with these people. And in the long run, when you look back, you probably shouldn't have been hanging out with some of them anyway when they don't match up. But back then, we were all a little dumb and wanted friends, and it was important to be in certain groups. And
absolutely. I mean, even adults fall into that today. They still want to be a part of certain groups. I look at my job and my work environment. You have those cliques, and you kind of try to fit into those cliques. You're either in or you're not. And then you kind of, I question if some of these people are really being true to themselves, and at the end harming themselves because they're not being true to themselves and trying to fit into something that they're not. So I think that's a big one, is being yourself in all situations, and not, again, go back to not really caring what people think, but really be yourself. And it really I guess it's more for young people, and hopefully there's young people that are listening to this podcast, or parents will talk to their children. That is an important piece, is that self-image and being yourself in all situations. And
I think that God made you in his image, so you are enough. Like, you don't have to be yourself plus 1,000. Like, you're enough as you are if you're just being true to yourself and putting yourself out there. Like, there's nothing more that you need to be. You are enough. But that's hard to accept, I think, when you're younger, and even as an adult. Sometimes you feel like you should be more, you should be doing this, and just live in your purpose, live as yourself, and you'll be good.
I mean, there is, I guess, a positive element to wanting to be better and wanting to be more. And I will say this: if you're not in a happy place in your life and you're not comfortable with what you are, there is an element of change and not really being yourself. You sort of got to step out sometimes, a little bit.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I guess it is important for you to hold on to a sense of who you are at the core. You're not going to change that much, and you can't completely change, and you're going to be completely fake, and it's just not going to work for you. So that's point number one. Point number two we want to get to is actually addressing a question that was posed online. We talked about this participation trophy, and one of the questions was, how do we recognize that child who made it to practice every day and on time, obeyed the parents and coaches, done well in school, and was a team player and never quit? And I guess they were feeling like they should still be recognized for that. What's your take on that?
I think absolutely be recognized for your dedication and for your passion, and for that you're reliable and loyal to your team, and you don't quit when you're losing your whole season. But in that it does make you stronger that you're not winning all the time and you're not getting the trophy for showing up. When we talked about that last week, and Demetrious was saying that the participation trophy goes to everybody, but there was an additional maybe award for the MVP. I don't think it's a bad thing when they're younger, maybe to give them something for maybe a trait they exhibited during the season. Like they showed up on time, they gave 100% effort. Because sometimes talent, effort doesn't always go together. But if a kid's trying, let's make it more of an individual type award.
I think that, and I'm going to stretch this a little bit, that people are so fixated on the end result. Like the kid, like my daughter, she plays soccer, and she played the game yesterday. Terrible, and I was upset about it, but she played the game yesterday, but all she wanted was a snack at the end. Like, I feel like she didn't enjoy the process, and I think people get caught up in, and I think that's the problem I have with this trophy thing. It's like the people who get fixated on that, I need that thing at the end, and not enjoying that process on the way. So I think it also teaches a lesson. Learning how to lose is important because you're going to lose.
Yep.
It's going to happen at some point in your life. But if you focus on that process and not the product, I think you'll be able to digest it more. I'm not a fan of the participation trophy at all. I don't think it's necessary because it is sending a false meaning and hope to children at a young age. Just because you participate in something doesn't mean that you automatically going to win. You should get something from it. And we kind of touched on that again in the last podcast. But I guess point number 2 is that you should learn to lose. And there's a lesson in that loss and trying to figure that out and carry that on with you. I guess I'm going to put you on the spot here. What was the biggest lesson that you've learned of something that you've lost in?
Oh, I've lost at relationships. I've lost at, in education, failing classes, doing stuff like that. And sometimes I rebounded and sometimes I didn't. When you lose a relationship that you think is a good thing and then you kind of look back way after the fact, after you're devastated and heartbroken, that you realize it wasn't a good match and that's not stuff I should put up with. But in that moment, I think you're hurt and upset. So those were my bigger losses, I guess, in life. I've been pretty lucky.
Now, did you do a self-assessment?
Not back then, no. It wasn't me, it was them. No, you do. What did you do wrong? What did I do wrong? And what could I do better next time? And how can I be a better partner or whatever? So you do take those lessons with you. And sometimes you don't even realize you're doing it.
That's a good piece.
Sorry, my daughter.
It's all right. She's thirsty. It's good. I'm thirsty, too. So point number 3, we're going to move on. I think this is extremely important. The people that you hang around are vital to whether you have positive thoughts or negative thoughts. Obviously, if you're hanging around negative people, your thoughts are going to be negative. But trying to put yourself around positive people, trying to put yourself around people that's going to push you to that next level. That's something that I definitely pride myself in, is trying to surround myself with people that want to win. And they want to, not only see me succeed, but they want to succeed too. And I think growing up, that's what our crew did. Like, we supported each other. Like, Kyle Fields was the neighborhood DJ, and it was guaranteed that he was going to have 20 friends there at every single party. But every time I went over to Kyle's house, it was like, get on the 1s and 2s, and we're going to practice this thing. So now he's like #1 rated DJ in Chicago. Same thing with Demetrious. Like, he was the basketball player. Like, we're going to go play basketball. We're going to support each other and get you out there. I think the people that you hang around is extremely important. What's your thoughts on that? I
agree 100%. And it's hard sometimes when there are people that are very close to you that can be negative. And I don't think they intend to be negative, but they just sometimes have the woe is me going on. And it's easy to get sucked up into that. So you have to really stand firm. And I mean, you can be there for people. I'm not saying cut everybody off, but you definitely want to kind of keep yourself in that positive mindset and don't let yourself get sucked in. I have a small group of friends. I've had like one friend from school that I went through with and 2 girls I used to work with that I'm very tight with. We don't see each other for a long time, and then when we get together, it's like things we never missed a beat. I don't know, here I go, not completing sentences again.
I think it's also important to surround people that are in the same mindset as you, but also have the same experiences. Like, all my friends right now have children. I don't have any friends that really don't have any kids because I can't relate to them, it's a struggle for me to have conversations with them at times and really get to hang with them. But putting yourself around people that do understand your position in life and again, wanting to help you get to that next level is important. You got to cut some people off.
You do.
You got to get the jokers out of the deck. You got to cut some people off, and I've definitely done that. And some people, it's going to hurt. It might be relatives. It might be somebody that you was friends with for a real long time. But if they are hurting you and to any way and not helping you live your dream and helping you stay in that positive frame of mind, you've got to cut those people off. You got to distance yourself from them. It's really, really important. I apologize for people that I've cut off that are listening to this podcast. I thank you very much.
Well, there's the lessons to be learned.
So the next point I want to make is that you need to be active. And this kind of goes into that, stepping outside of your comfort zone thing, but really just going out and trying to accomplish stuff. You can't become successful. You can't get out of that negative thinking if you're sitting on the couch and just soaking it all in and, borderline depressed. Like, you have to get out there and try things and really, really put your best foot forward. I know this was something that was tough for you to do in terms of the podcast. So here we are, episode 4 and really 3.5 in. Let's talk about day one, your feelings day one, and where you are, your comfort level now.
I'm a lot more comfortable than I was day one. Day one was nerve-wracking. Just even though it was just me and you talking, it was like having the microphone was having a million people listening, even though we're in the hundreds, right? Hundreds. But it felt like, I don't know, I couldn't get over that I knew this was going to go out there. So I think it made me nervous right off the bat. Then Stephanie came in and it was doctor to the right of me, going to be a doctor to the left of me, and me sitting there. So it did bring me down a minute for like, what do I have to bring to the table here? Like, I'm sitting here with two people that have done so much and are so educated, and I'm just me. But I'm like, you know what? Maybe there's a good dynamic there and a nice way that I do kind of.
I don't think you're giving yourself enough credit.
I know, that was in my self-assessment. I'm still working on it.
Okay. But you've seen your progression. You've seen, by jumping and being active, that it's sort of taking you out of that negative mind frame and I guess complacency, is the word that I could use there. So that is really, really extremely important, is being active and going out there and getting it. Whatever your dream is or whatever you have passionate about, just like you said, just do it. Like, you just got to get out there and you have to do it. Otherwise, you're never, ever going to, get out of that mindset. I believe that human beings are the most powerful, most intelligent beings on the planet. There is no reason why you can't go out there and be successful and get out of that negative thinking.
Yep.
The next point, we kind of touched on this on the last podcast, is facing your fears. It kind of go hand in hand. I mean, you got to be active, but you have to face those fears. You can't run from it. They're going to keep chasing you. Yep. You have to learn to go through it. Excuse me. And you just got to put yourself out there. And I use this, story or example as there's 3 types of people when it comes to fear. There's the carrot, there's the egg, and there's the coffee grinds. Now follow me on this, right? So you take a pot of boiling water, and let's talk about the characteristics of a carrot. At first it's hard, right? Yep. You put it in the boiling water, what happens to it? Gets soft. So you put it in, these people that put them in situations in which they are fearful, they shrivel up. They kind of shrink back and not really, those are the runners. Those are the people that run from their fears. Take the egg. At first you have that hard shell, soft in the middle, you put it in the pot of boiling water, it hardens up. So those are the people that are really trying to conquer their fears. But then the third person is the coffee grinds. You put it in the pot of boiling water, it turns it into coffee. It completely took the fear and turned it into something completely different. So those to me are the 3 types of people that we are dealing with in fear. You got to figure out where you fit in. My recommendation is don't be the carrot.
No.
I love carrots myself, but don't be the carrot. I try to pride myself in being the coffee grind and trying to turn my fears into something else. To be honest with you, every time I have a speaking engagement, there's an element of fear that's there. But I try to turn it into something, for me and internally, I'm looking for a takeaway from me as much as I'm giving information out. So conquering your fears is huge.
I'm an egg.
You're an egg?
I'm an egg. I'm getting there.
That's not
maybe soft-boiled egg. I'm almost a hard-boiled egg.
Well, we're going to crack it and scramble it up and then turn it into something
That's
different.
my kid's job. Or my husband's job.
Not
yours.
They're doing a good job.
Oh, yeah.
Nice. All right, so the next one is recognizing your negative thoughts.
You don't have any, right? Like you try to push them all out?
Listen, I'll be honest with you. I came a long way. I used to be super, super duper negative. I was a pessimist. You can ask all my friends, especially when we're talking about games. I would always, before the games, like, guess what? We're going to lose. Oh. That was the mentality that I had. But the reason I had it was because I felt like once you lost, it didn't hurt as bad because I knew it was coming. Like, I told you so. type thing.
So it was like that predication that you made yourself feel better before it even happened.
Right. So I had that mentality for the longest time, and not until recently I started looking at the cup as half full, not empty, and just really, again, conquering any fear that I had. Like I said, I'm not really afraid of anything anymore because my mentality has changed. I feel like I'm going to win at some point or some aspect of whatever I do. So that, to me, that's a huge thing. And going through your day, just recognizing your negative thoughts throughout the day.
Well, that chatter is nonstop in your head. Is it negative or is it positive or is it a mix of both? I mean, there's going to be a couple negative thoughts that creep in, but you definitely have to keep that chatter to a minimum and put some positivity in your head. You're going to be able to do this eventually. You're going to be able, to conquer whatever's in front of you. It may take time, but you're going to get there as long as you don't give up.
And it's also important, what do you do with that negative thought? I'll be honest, I'm going to open it up. Yesterday I did something, I had a negative thought in my head, and it really got to me. And a lot of people say that I'm like calm and cool and everything, and I get to a point where I just black out. So yesterday I punched something, and I ended up breaking like a glass in my room because of my thoughts. And it was over something silly.
Usually it is.
It was really silly. Thank God I was the only one home, and then my wife came in and was like, "You really got mad? You really just broke that?" I was like, "Yeah, and I'm vacuuming up the glass or whatever." But I needed to recognize that negative thought and move forward from there. And I'm not even going to explain what it was because it's so silly. But throughout the day, again, recognizing those thoughts and trying to turn it into something positive and really assessing why you feel that way about that thing. And a lot of times out of 10, it's over something stupid.
In hindsight, yeah. But in that moment, it gets you fired up, and you can dwell on that for a while, and it could feed 1,000 more negative thoughts into your mind. You definitely take it. I know I do. I don't look at just the next thing. I look at the next 100 things that happen after it. So I have to kind of reel it back in and just deal with the monster in front of me and move on.
And that's tough in a relationship. I'm thinking about arguments that I have with my wife. Like you said,
you're not going to win. So I don't even know why you're thinking about it.
I'm going to win.
Just one.
I'm always going to win.
All right, we're positive thinking. You're 1, 2, 3.
But whatever we're arguing about is a negative thing. And like you said, I'm always thinking about the 30 other things that also are negative that had nothing to do with the argument in the first place. What I'm going to bring up, well, remember that time that you did such and such. We talk about something that happened like 8 years ago. But recognizing that it's important to recognize that negative thought early and like you said, not try to compound it by putting more negative thoughts on it.
And it is hard to let go sometimes of things, especially when it's not something little and it's something serious. It's hard to let it go and move on without addressing it head on. And sometimes you can only address it so much as in your control. So learning to let go is really tough. And I try to tell my kids that because they have a hard time letting certain things go. And it's a waste of a day. You're wasting a day worrying about the shoe to drop that you have no control over.
And also, I'll tell people all the time that if what you're worried about doesn't matter in another 2-3 days, like why are you really worried about it? I literally told that to my nephew, and his girlfriend was fighting yesterday. I was like, what are you guys fighting? And it was over something stupid. And I said, it's going to matter in another 2-3 days. And they both was like, no. I mean, it was on to the point they was about to break up. I said, over this? Like, seriously? So we can talk about relationships on another podcast. We definitely talk about it.
They come into every podcast.
Maybe I'm having some issues with my own relationship. No, I'm just joking. So that's the next point. So just to review real quick, be yourself. It won't always be, sunshine, and it won't always be a good thing. You need to learn how to lose. Put yourself around positive people. Be active. Conquer your fears. Recognize your negative thoughts. And the next point, we talked about this on our values podcast, is ground yourself in your values. I always go back to that. It never ever fails. Like any decision that I make, any thought that I have, I try to go back to, what's most important to me. Like, and it again drives your behavior. And so when you talk about your values, develop a value system that's going to work for you, and always reflect back to that. Not to get too religious, but again, God is the center of my value system, and I tried to live as best I can. It doesn't always work, but best I can, thinking about, and pleasing God and doing the things that God wanted me to do. So really, really ground yourself in the value system. Have you had an experience where you had to step back and be like, is this really, really important? Does this line up with my values lately?
Yeah, I think a lot, especially with kids. And I keep going to kids because that's my life. I haven't really, even when I go to work, I'm with kids. So Yeah, you want sometimes to just scream in the middle of the room, and you have to really remember that you are the model for those. Like, if your kids were there, I'm sure that glass wouldn't have been broken. You had some alone time, you got frustrated, you broke a glass. But if the girls were in there, you don't want them going around doing it. So you do take that step back, I think, when you have an audience, definitely. I've maybe taken a step back once or twice in an argument with my husband and tried to root myself before I went. And
Are you admitting defeat?
Not that I was wrong. Yeah, I think sometimes I know I'm good at going back and grabbing things from the past and being like, well, do you remember this time? And it's not necessary in that moment. And I do catch myself wanting to, I don't know why, continue the fight. I guess until I'm right, until I win something. So I've been trying to scale back on that and try to let it go a little
confetti
bit.
needs to fly in the air right now. You're like the first woman on the planet that ever admit that she was wrong in something. So
I'll admit that I'm wrong sometimes. Sometimes he's wrong and he wants to go around, and I've been trying to step back from that because I will engage, even though I know there's no reason for us to be arguing about this. It has nothing to do with us, our kids, our family. It's not relevant.
Right.
So I don't want to spend time wasted arguing with him about something that's a non-issue.
Right.
So I just let him go, and then I said, oh, okay, and let it go. Sometimes you want to fight, and you just gotta just bite the tongue.
Oh, so you're one of those that like to argue and fight sometimes.
I'm trying not to be, though. And I'm trying to set that example for my kids that have a hard time letting things go, that it's not worth arguing with somebody when there's really not a problem. And kids, adults, very older adults, they still sometimes will get hung up on those little hiccups that really don't matter.
Right.
So I'm trying to skip. That's where I'm pulling myself back most.
I think sometimes that little argument stems from something else. Like, you're not really addressing the real issue.
Probably not,
and
sometimes.
It's just festering. It's just like, this is the outlet that I'm going to use.
Sometimes it's just, we're both very sarcastic, too. So sometimes jokes go a little too far, and that sparks an argument. And the kids shouldn't always see that we're always, like, bickering with each other. So I've definitely, through this process, been trying to watch what I do in front of them. Because the boys are going to be 12, and I'm sure I'm only a few years away from girlfriends and all that. Oh, my God. So I need to set an example of how you treat somebody.
Right.
And, they don't always get the joke. They think I'm being serious or that John's being serious with me. And we know we're joking, but they don't see that.
Right.
So it's taking that moment to just takes 30 seconds to take a breath and really put things in perspective before you decide, is this going to be a major blow up, or is this just going to be done? I could squash it now and go on with our day.
I'm sitting here wrestling with, there's a part of me that wants to say that it's okay for us to argue in front of our children on some level, but the important piece is how that argument ends. Because I think they need to see that, you're not always going to get along with people, but there needs to be some sort of peaceful resolution too. Like, how did you solve that issue? Sure. So a lot of kids will get into these situations and then they'll run, and they'll run from it, or they'll take it too far. So I think there's some healthy elements to arguing in front of your children, depending on what the argument is. My wife and I, we try not to. I don't think I've ever argued in front of our kids, but they know, they can feel it.
Oh yeah, they can pick up on those vibes.
It's crazy. And like, my daughter would come in after me. First of all, me and my wife really don't argue. We give each other silent treatment, and that goes on for like weeks.
I can see Rebecca winning that one too.
We just, I'm usually the one that come up and then start the conversation. But it was so weird that the other day my daughter took both of our hands and put them together because she knew that there was something wrong, but she wasn't even nowhere in the room when we were giving each other the silent treatment. So the kids definitely feel those arguments. So ground yourself in values. The next one is take responsibility for your actions, for your mistakes, for your negative thoughts. A lot of people will love to play the blame game. That's all they do is point fingers, point fingers, point fingers. I mean, if you look at this country, then our president is doing it, point fingers at people, and never ever taking responsibility for his action. Sorry.
Oh, you're good. I definitely think that's a big thing everybody should be working on, is accountability. We are all too quick to say it's not my fault. It's not, this one did it. Well, I did it because that one did it. Especially with the kids. Again, I hate to keep going back to the kids, but they're getting really good at that. It was his fault because he did it, and then I kind of just joined in at the last minute. And no, you joined in. It's your fault.
Right.
I'm trying to get my kids to take accountability for every action that they do. And I might be driving them insane, but I want them to understand that after they've done it, no, you did it. It wasn't your sister's fault that you pushed her. Right. It's your fault.
Right.
And there's different ways to handle it.
And then on the same level, you have to learn to forgive yourself within that. Once you acknowledge it, you have to learn to forgive yourself. My family went through something with my youngest one at a school district. They lost our child. Long story short.
Yeah. Oh
She's
my
fine.
God.
She's safe. Everything's good. But needless to say, I wasn't happy.
No.
And I said some things to a lot of people. But the people that I went through, this chain of events with, all of them were pointing fingers at somebody else. And all I wanted them to say was like,
I lost your kid.
I'm sorry. Like, it won't happen again. But no, it was this person's fault. It was that person's fault. It was this person's fault. And the more they did it, the angry I got. And it wasn't pretty. But I had to step back, and my kid's safe, and, we're going to move forward from there.
Was
But
she okay?
she was a little shaken. Thank God she got dropped off somewhere where she knew the people, and they took her in. But the place didn't know where my child was.
Yeah. But I can see that really getting her a little geeked out. Was it the first day of school?
First day of school.
Yeah, that's tough to rebound from as a little kid, to know that you're not where you're supposed to be, and you don't know how to get in contact with who.
But I think that it was a very valuable lesson for my daughters, because we had the conversation at dinner, and then the next morning she woke up with a big smile on, was ready to learn. I was like, the Josies are resilient. Let's it happened, it's done. We're going to learn from it. We're going to move forward from there. And I think it was a big lesson for my kids to be able to see that and to be able to bounce back from that. But take responsibility. At the end of the day,
Well, yeah.
like, I messed up or whatever. So that's a huge piece.
Well, we live in a CYA society, unfortunately. I mean, you can't get a hold of a manager for anything with customer service. And like you said, it's a completely different situation losing your kid. I know how frustrated I get on the phone when I want to speak to a higher up, and they just put you through the run and you can't get a hold of anybody, and I get frustrated. If that was my kid on the other end, I don't know if I would have been as composed as you. I would have been up there. Like, I don't know. That's insane.
I think in the moment I was obviously upset and angry, but there was something in my, feeling that she was okay. Like, I felt like she was on a bus somewhere, they was going to drop her back off, but they just didn't know. Like, I didn't think any harm was, come of her, but it was just, I needed to say that they better be glad that my wife was not there dealing with it, and I was dealing with it.
Maybe it's that mom thing, then we're calm and cool and PTA moms and all that stuff, but then you do something to our kid and that mama bear comes out, and you don't want to mess with her. You don't want to mess with her.
No, not at all. I don't want to mess with her.
Situations you want to rip a kid's head off. You know it's the wrong thing to do, and the kid didn't mean it, but it still hurt your baby. And
right.
So in that situation, I don't know what I would have done. I don't know if calm and cool would have cut it.
I wasn't calm and cool. That's not exactly how I would put it. I was professionally angry. How about that?
Okay.
And like I said, the school district knows who the Josies are, everyone.
Well,
now, so
I'm sure they do. I'm sure they're going to be extra careful around, your kids are going to get like a limo service picking them up and bringing them home.
Yeah, they kind of tried to roll out the red carpet the next day when I came to pick them up, but it just kind of played it as it was. But this conversation is kind of leading me to, a side topic in terms of customer service and dealing with how you deal with people. And I try to pride myself on treating everyone the same and giving everybody that same level of focus and comfort and love in the conversations that I have with people. But from a business standpoint, I work in education. I'm big on customer service, and you need to make sure that every child that walks into your classroom gets the same level of service. The example that I give is my family went to Disney a couple years ago. Again, my wife is very particular. If you mess with her, she definitely will let you know. But I was amazed by their customer service. They did something really minor. So they called, we were calling, and they answered the phone like, "Welcome to Disney. It's the magical place on earth." It's like that fake, type thing. And then they did something real small, and my wife called back, and my wife started going in on them. But it was the same level of service. "Welcome to Disney. It's the magical place on earth." And my wife was literally almost cussing these people out, and they still had that same customer service on it.
So they're known. Disney's known. All of their parks, their ships, their cruise ships. We went on the cruise when the boys were 5, and I mean, they were friendly. The staff was friendly the entire trip. The boat was immaculate. Like, they are definitely pride themselves on making sure that you are satisfied with their customer. And
I just wish more businesses were like that. I can't stand when I go to McDonald's and they got my order wrong.
Oh, every time.
And it's okay.
But we shouldn't be eating at McDonald's. That's maybe that's God's way of saying,
they have some healthy options.
Really?
There's salad and what do you call it, the yogurt things that they have.
Whoa.
What's
McDonald's for yogurt?
And salad.
And the apple slices that are brown. you see the new kids Happy Meals that you get like 3 French fries? I'm like, this is a joke.
They're cutting back.
Yeah.
But the customer service, I think part of that is coming from, we live in a society that's like, it's good enough. Like, you get to a point you're working on something like, that's good enough. And I tried to tell people and teach people that we got to stop living that way. I said, imagine you go get your car fixed and you overheard the mechanic on your brake say, that's good enough. Yeah. That's not going to be acceptable for you. So get out of that it's good enough mode and really focus on customer service. It kind of ties into those negative thoughts too, because I believe that the world gives you what you give it. And you know that a lot of the negative thoughts that we have and the things that happen to us is because we probably treated someone wrong or something happened where we're, not doing what we're supposed to be doing. So I think that's important. But take responsibility for your negative thoughts. Take responsibility for your actions. We kind of touched on the last piece. Focus on the process and not the product. I look at, let's say, marriage, for example.
Oh boy.
Right? Let's go back to your wedding day, right? Everybody is looking for that the end of the wedding, the ring and the ceremony and everything else. Meanwhile, the 2 years or the year and a half before, you're not really focused on enjoying the process, right? Because you're just so worried about what that day is going to look like.
I was a laid back bride, I have to say. I wanted to have fun at my wedding. I wanted to enjoy it. I wasn't bridezilla. I think we threw it together in 10 months. Mm-hmm. It was, I was pretty, I'm the exception on letting my husband win an argument, I guess, and not being bridezilla. So
that's nice.
I did enjoy the process because I didn't dump that stress on myself because they were flowers. If they were wrong, they were wrong. They were there, they were flowers. It's a cake. Can you eat it? Sure. The DJ was there. I just wanted to have a good time with my family and friends and stuff like that and enjoy the day. And I did. So I was pretty lucky. But I know some people that are on every detail of everything. And I just don't know if they are enjoying it because they're so stressed out that this came in wrong and this is wrong. And now 2 bridesmaids are fighting, and is it going to be Jerry Springer at my wedding? Just let it go. Let it go.
And the process of the marriage is like life. Something's going to go wrong.
All the time.
No matter how much you plan, how much perfect and organized that you are, something's going to go wrong. Like, enjoy the process. Enjoy the, picking out things together and that whole entire thing. My wife and I, we were engaged. It was 3 months. We've been together for a long time. So it was like, all right, you want to get married? 3 months later, we had the wedding and, it was over. But I kind of did enjoy the process a little bit. I don't think my wife did.
No?
At all.
No? Were you groomzilla?
No.
Oh, all right.
I was like, listen, how much does it cost? Like, just
we had a DJ.
Right, DJ was there, cake was there.
All
that was
right.
it. I was good with it, but I think part of that too was who she had helping her with the process.
Again, back to who you surround yourself with, and you got to pick your battle. Sometimes if you know somebody's good at what they do, great. If they're going to be a big stress on you going dress shopping, doing all that stuff, then you don't ask them. But again, it's hard. You don't want to hurt feelings and stuff like that.
Right, right. But enjoy the process. Whatever you're doing in life, try to enjoy the process. Raising children. Enjoy the process. Like,
and a lot of times we wait until things get better. We'll wait till we have money. We'll wait till this thing's done. We'll wait till this project, the house is done. Well, guess what? You're going to be waiting forever because there's always, as soon as you think you're good, something always knocks you back down a little bit.
So people always say, like, enjoy your kids now because it goes so fast. Like, and what they're really trying to say is enjoy the process. Like, at the end result, you want great kids. You want them to be phenomenal. You want them to be healthy. You want them to be happy. That's the end result. And I think we get caught up in that so much that we lose all that time with, our kids. And it does go fast because I wish my little babies were still in my arms. And
Facebook kills you with those memories. This is what you shared 8 years ago. And it's like 8 years ago. Like, what? Like 8 years? Really? They were that little? It feels like it was yesterday.
Right. So even the tough times, like, we're getting back in the swing of things with school and homework's a battle. Like, I'm trying to enjoy even that part of it.
You're enjoying homework?
Yeah.
Oh.
I love it.
Only my first grader had homework. The ones in 6th, nothing all week. Nothing. She had homework. And that was good, though, because it was a 4-day week. So they almost had that full week. And for the young ones, I think establishing routine right out of the gate is a good thing. So she got, her math and spelling. It was her first spelling test. And she got a taste of what it's going to be like. If you would have given them 4 days of games and just playing centers and stuff like that, then next week...
It would have hit her like...
No, I don't do homework. We don't do that here. So...
But I enjoy it. You know
I'm
why?
sending my kids to you after school.
But it's everything that we talked about. Like I feel like I'm teaching them everything that we just talked about.
Yeah.
About conquering fear, about taking responsibility, about all of those things.
Are you doing fractions yet?
Not yet.
Well, see, that's why you
Not
didn't
yet.
enjoy homework.
Not yet. But I did post something on Facebook not too long ago. Like, I try to make it fun for my kids. Like, I'm working with them, and I don't get to spend a whole lot of time with them because I'm so busy. Matter of fact, I think it was research said that fathers spend 8 quality minutes with their children. Like, I try to a day. And
8?
8.
Really?
And it's weird. And I was like, get out of here. There is no way that that's possible. But when I really look at it, I'm talking about quality time with your kids.
Well,
I'm like, you know what? It might be 8. Really? On a school night, like on a regular day, not a weekend, like on a regular day.
That's hard. They do have a lot of responsibility. You want to give them time to wind down, and sometimes that's not with you in their face. That's either going outside for a little bit and getting a snack and relaxing in front of a show. I try not to jump right on the homework train when they walk in the door. I think they deserve a little break before they get started, and I need a couple minutes to look at it first because this math is all different, and
you got to teach yourself real quick.
I do.
But well, we come home and we give everyone 10 minutes. And you say, all right, 10 minutes to yourself. Do whatever you need to do. I usually go in my room and watch SportsCenter or something like that, and just we use 10 minutes, and then it's usually all right. We're on the counter. Daddy's got his homework out too. Daddy's doing work on the counter with you. We're going to sit here and do this thing, and then my youngest, she gets frustrated very easy. I don't know where she gets that from, but
I don't know.
She
didn't break a glass or anything when she was doing her homework.
It's coming up.
You better duck.
It's coming. I had it bad. I used to clear the counters off. Like all the stuff that's on the counter right now, that would be on the floor right
Doing
now.
homework when you were a kid?
When I was a kid, I had some anger issues. Let's just put it that way when I was a kid. But that routine is really key. And I know we're kind of getting off topic, but the routine as far as school and dealing with your kids during the school day is really, really important, and having that routine. And they know that if I'm not home when I come home, the homework's going to be on the counter for either mom or dad to check the homework. So my oldest, she just does it, and it's like, I got to do it, got to get done with it. The youngest one, all right, come on.
I have 2 that way.
Focus.
2 that want to throw, I'll do it tonight, I'll do it after dinner, I'll do it, and I know it's going to we're doing it now. And sometimes we're still doing it after dinner.
Yep.
But it's got to get done.
Absolutely.
And then they get mad when they're not on the honor roll, and it's like, well, like, you have it. You have it in you to do it. You have the skill, you have the talent to do it. It's just, you have that mindset that you don't want to do it.
But I'm telling you to enjoy the process right now,
Okay.
because they're going to go to college one day, and you're going to miss that time at the table arguing, and you're going to want it back. Trust me.
I'm going to want it all back. I already feel like I want it back. I want the last 12 years back. It feels like it's just flown, so
and definitely, I said, trust it. Trust the process.
All right.
And enjoy it.
We're trying.
Got my Sixers logo in there. Trust the process.
And wearing that today.
Listen. Today is a very special day. If you could just see the pain that's on Stacy's face when I walked into her house wearing my Cowboys gear in the Eagles' house. I might even leave my hat here and leave a star somewhere here.
Well, we need kindling to start the bonfire in it, so that hat can just go right in the fire. And it says a lot how much I respect you and like you, that I'm letting you in my house week 1, because no Cowboys fans should be in this house on week 1.
Yeah, we should be everywhere.
If we can survive this battle, then we'll be good.
This is also a special podcast because we have a little deal going on today.
I'm not worried about this one.
The bet is if the Philadelphia Eagles lose today, Stacy has to run the next podcast.
Yeah.
I feel it coming.
I don't.
Washington.
I think we're good.
Don't let me down, Washington.
They have no speed anymore. They got rid of all their speed. Who was their quarterback? Cousins? Is he starting today? We're going to be all right. I'm not worried.
At about 4:15, you're going to get a text from me. About 4:15. That should about do it. I'll wait till the game's over. But that's going to be a great... So next podcast that you hear from us, there's going to be Stacy running the show.
Unless it's your special guest, because I don't want to step on your toes when
listen, no stipulations here.
Stipulations?
You're running the show, so you might have
I'm going to have a script then. I'm going to be reading from cue cards and...
If you can see us right now, Stacy has immaculate handwriting on this notepad that she has, and she writes everything out, and I can't operate like that. Like I have some scratches on my cell phone, and I'm just kind of going off the top of my head, but it's 2 totally opposite people here that are happily getting along for now. Like
week 15, I don't know if we should even... It could matter this year. It could matter. They could both be on the cusp there of... Don't we play you last? They save that game for last.
Yeah.
Second to last.
But see, when you've been winning so much, and you know, and you
How far did you go last year?
That's what we went to the second round, I think.
Second?
Where were the Eagles? Yeah, second. We lost some.
Oh wait, we had a rookie quarterback. I'm gonna.
So
Yeah, but you had. Wait a minute, I forgot about
we
that.
had two
Prescott.
rookies.
I forgot about Prescott.
How can you forget about Prescott?
Because he's not the real deal.
I'm
Flash
sending
in the pan syndrome.
I'm sending you a Prescott jersey.
It's a flash in the
That's
pan.
Your Christmas gift from me.
Carson Wentz lives in my town, my little farm town. We're good.
Well,
Sophomore years for both. We'll see
we'll see.
who's got the long-term arm and skill.
Right. Well, we're going to wrap this podcast up because it's starting to get personal in here. But just remember, again, just to review some of the things that we talked about and getting out of that negative mindset. Be yourself. Always learn how to lose. Surround yourself with some positive people. Be active. Conquer your fears. Recognize your negative thoughts. Ground yourself in your values. Take responsibility and focus on the process. Those pretty much sum it up in terms of some takeaways. I know we didn't really dig into that because we had a special guest last week, so we wanted to make sure that the audience has something. We will be talking to Gary Monterosso eventually and getting him on here, as well as some other people. We're going to have some people back on the show. So make sure you stay with us, and hopefully, we're affecting some people's lives out there.
I hope so.
Getting you to think a certain way.
We're affecting ours, so if no one else, we're taking strides and we're getting there.
Absolutely. Make sure you visit us on www.theempowermentperspective.com. There's some other information on there as well that's coming out in the near future. Hopefully I'll get Stacy to write this book, and we'll publish that out there as well. Visit us on social media and Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, The Empowerment Perspective. Stay empowered.